Which Side Podcast is a proud member of the Which Side Media Collective.
This week's episode is brought to us again by Amazon Prime affiliate link.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. All you have to do, go to whichsidepodcast.com, click through our Amazon link. Anything you buy, we get a kickback for. If you want to be super awesome and super simple, just save that link as a favorite, and anytime you go to Amazon, use it, and we'll get a portion of everything you spend, because that's how Amazon rolls. They basically want you to shop there, so they will pay us to get you to shop there. We're telling you to only shop there if you're already going to do it, so we get a kickback, and they don't get any extra money.
It's taking money out of their pockets to put in our pocket.
Exactly.
The things that you're already going to buy.
That's called income redistribution.
I'll take your word for that.
Yeah.
That sounds like fancy talk. I recommend getting the book Green is the New Red by Will Potter. It's a really great book if you haven't read it.
Yeah, if you're looking to get something on Amazon, get Will Potter's book, Green is the New Red. We'll have a link to that.
Whichsidepodcast.com.
Sure. This is episode 134.
Yeah, we have Kelly on from 4N Pictures International.
She did some really amazing shorts. Like the first one she did at the auction house. They're just really good. You really need to check them out. So make sure you listen to that and go check out all of her work. What news and events do we have going on this week, Jordan?
If you're in Utah next Sunday, there is a march with FAMILIA, which is Trans Queer Liberation Movement, at the Utah Pride Parade. So totally check that out. That's Sunday, June 7th at 9 a.m.
And if you're not in Utah, there's lots of pride parades going on right now. Go find your local pride. Go support it. Go have fun.
This week's listener shout out comes from Charlotte Malrich. She told us we could shout out whatever we want. So, like we typically do, you should write prisoners because they really need your love. I totally recommend writing Eric King. Eric King could use a lot of love and support right now. So, do it.
Get all your information to write Eric at whichsidepodcast.com. For the slingshot this week, June 2nd, 1919, anarchists bombed the home of Attorney General Mitchell Palmer. I always like that fact.
How'd that go?
It was a failed bombing. It went off either, I can't remember if it went off before he opened the door, but it didn't kill him.
You don't really see a lot of anarchist bombings in our modern society.
No, you don't.
There was and if they happen, it's usually because an informant is in the situation.
Because the FBI is the one actually providing all of the information.
Exactly.
And all the know-how and supplies and goading and pushing. And even when they're saying, no, we don't want to do this, they still arrest them for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happens.
That's even once is too much, and it's happened more than that. So I sincerely hope you enjoy this episode.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side? Which side are you on? 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 Which side are you on?
How are you doing today?
Doing very well. How about you guys?
Doing good.
I'm doing all right.
All right.
I'm Jordan, by the way, just so you can tell my voice.
And I'm Jeremy.
Okay. I knew it was two J names. I couldn't remember what, though.
And everyone says we sound the same, so sorry about that.
A little bit, actually. I don't think I would have noticed until you pointed it out, so now that's in my head, but I'll try to keep you apart.
It must be our Utah accent.
It must be. That's right. You're Utah. Are you Salt Lake or somewhere else?
It's Salt Lake, yeah.
Yeah, Salt Lake. Or the burbs of Salt Lake. You get more technical.
Burbs of Salt Lake.
Yeah.
I have a friend who just relocated out there for work, and so last summer I went to visit her. You guys have a pretty surprising downtown. I was surprised.
Yeah, and it's super vegan friendly.
Right. Okay, so there was a restaurant I went to, and I can't remember the name. It was... do you have more than one?
Yes. Quite a few.
Okay, well,
What
damn
kind
it.
of style?
We're out of Denver.
Was it like American? Was it like a diner atmosphere?
Not diner. It was very upscale. Actually, maybe it was vegetarian, and I just picked out the vegan things. Not a very simple, cool name.
No, Sages have been all vegan. Oasis?
Maybe. Sage sounds right, though.
Sages is all vegan, yeah.
Okay.
But they might just call it vegetarian.
They do call it vegetarian there, yeah.
Is it really expensive?
It's pretty pricey.
Okay. So, I was so excited to go there because, how often do you find a new vegan restaurant? And I went with people who were unfortunately on a budget, and so they were grumbling the whole time. But so good and bad memories from there.
Well, next time you're here, I know all the places on a budget because I'm always on a budget.
Do you really?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yes.
I'll have to hit it up again.
Yeah. We have a ton of we have a couple vegan, all vegan restaurants and bakeries, but then just too many to name vegan friendly places.
God, go Salt Lake.
Yeah, it's changed a lot in the last, about 10 years ago. It was really when it picked up.
Right.
Yeah, it was pretty sweet.
That's very cool.
So
yeah, I never understood why vegan food had to be so expensive, when it's usually just rice, beans, and some other variation of vegetable. But yeah, we have some pricey places out here.
My favorite is what I like to call the vegan tax, is when you order something and get the cheese taken off or no meat and they still charge you the same. It's
right?
You're just raking in that money.
Or God forbid you take out the meat on something and there's nothing left. And
a bun.
Exactly.
And then they'll still charge you extra for things like guac.
Oh my gosh, right? Even Chipotle has caught up to, modern times and giving you guac instead of meat. But
I like their kids meals because my daughter always goes there and gets the kids meals and she's like, I don't want the meat, I want guacamole instead.
And I love when they say well, it's extra, do you want it? Yes, that's all the joy I get out of this meal. So
see, I'm the type that I'm just like, no, please don't let it touch my plate ever.
Right.
Because you're a little weird.
I'm a little. I to be fair, I have had it 4 times in the last month. That's
Guacamole?
huge for me. What was that?
Guacamole?
Yeah.
Exciting.
Yeah, it's pretty gross for me.
That seems so anti-vegan. I think you might be the first person I've met who's not a guac worshiper.
That's why I'm trying to be, because I want to be part of the fold.
Right. Do you get shamed a lot by people like me then? I didn't mean to out you.
Yes.
I shame, yeah.
I mean, my wife does, my daughter does, so it's a daily basis.
It just seems like a natural order of things that when you cut out meat and dairy, there's not a lot of room to not like vegetables, so you get to be on good terms with them over time.
Yeah.
Do you honestly not have a vegetable you don't like?
I have ones I'm still working on.
Okay. Like what? Do share.
I do share. Actually, I know dates aren't a vegetable, but they're in every raw food. I don't like dates.
I like dates by themselves, but I've never been a fan of them in any raw food when they're like, ooh, we made this raw pie crust. And
right.
Yeah, no, thank you.
It tastes like raisins to me still. And
yes, thank you.
I'm a fan of raisins.
And I'm fine with them as a fruit on their own, but when they're trying to be something else, no. You're only raisins.
I think I'd rather have them than their full form as a prune.
I love prunes.
Prunes are good.
Yeah, prunes are great. I don't know what's wrong with you.
See, I like raisins and I like dates, but I'm not a fan of prunes. But I do like grapes.
Isn't prunes like a old people food?
Yeah, that's maybe I'm just biased because I'm
maybe
that's what old people eat, which was fucked up because that's ageism.
But don't they only eat it to help them pass their bowels? Isn't that the whole reason?
Yeah, that's the realistic reason. I just didn't want to say
that's not really ageism. That's just they ate too much non-fiber.
It's like gassism or something.
Yes, I like that gassism.
Digestivism.
But that's one of the great things about being vegan is that you can never say you don't get enough fiber because that's all we fucking eat.
Right. I mean, okay, I don't know how often you talk to people about their bowel movements, but I don't think I've come across a vegan who has that American problem of not being able to go, I think we're all
we're all pretty regular.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully you don't get into it too much, but we are blessed to be away from that.
To be fair, I think this is the most I've ever had this conversation.
I was warned the show was pretty casual, or, told the show was, but,
It's pretty casual.
Yeah.
I'm delighted.
So how's your weekend going so far?
My weekend's good. We're in the middle of this really weird weather for Colorado.
Mhm.
I think we're used to our sun, and everyone's getting out for summer, but we've all been stuck inside for crazy hailstorms and thunder and stuff. So,
Has it been like constant rain for you for like the last week?
yes, has that made its way down to you?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
been like the last almost 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's been
What
like
is up with that?
solid.
Ridiculous, right?
It's crazy.
And it makes me so sleepy. I don't know about you guys. Just I've been
Yeah,
reading a lot and drinking tea, and yeah, that's
See,
It's
I drink
definitely
tea
weird
if it's
weather.
100 degrees outside, so I'm always drinking tea. Like today's my odd day because I've only had 2 cups so far.
oh.
Yeah,
a little bit of a tea addict.
I totally am a tea addict.
It's good. And just, especially on these cold days, which is delightful, but not great for productivity.
So I'm so much of a tea addict. I need to know which kind you prefer on these cold days.
I actually drink the Sleepy Time Celestial Seasonings one, like way more than I probably should. Like, not at all during sleepy time, but in the morning, afternoon, it
It's got a nice.
chills me out.
It's got a nice like flavor to it. It's probably like was it mallow root in that?
I don't even.
Is it?
I don't think I've ever
Oh.
had it, to be honest with you. I've seen it all the time, and I've always been like, I'll go for something else.
I'm pretty sure I bought it just because I did see it and it was the cute sleepy bear on the front. I'm such a sucker. It's been good to me.
I'm pretty keen on any oolong tea, but I've been switching to like a mild Darjeeling lately.
What is that? See, you're throwing out all these words. I'm so not tea savvy, I guess.
Okay, so oolong tea. So there's 4 basic types of tea. You have your green and black, which is what most people know.
hmm
Then you have your white tea, and then there's a 4th kind of tea, which is oolong, that's made from the same tea leaves. So, like,
Okay.
black is like fully fermented, green is not fermented, and oolong is partially fermented, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
That does make sense then. And
Yeah.
that's where you fit.
Yeah, so I really like the oolongs, but I've been really getting into some Darjeeling. Darjeeling teas are all black teas. They come from Darjeeling, India, the region.
Okay.
Yeah,
That makes
but it's a really mild black tea.
Can I say it's actually funny? I think 2 weeks ago I looked up your podcast episodes and I was listening to the Joanne MacArthur one, and I'm pretty sure you spent the first 10 minutes also talking about tea. So
You know,
it's keen to take over her.
it happens every once in a while.
It's great.
Yeah, I think a handful of times.
Yeah, a handful of times. Because I sincerely love tea. Like it's
There's a lot to talk about, I guess, and I'm just getting into the conversation of it. Oolong and black tea and
if you really want to get into it, the best thing I suggest is start drinking unflavored teas. Like just find some white, green, black, and oolongs that are completely unflavored and start there. Yeah.
build up the palate for it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Is that what wine tasters do? I don't know how that stuff works.
I don't know. I've never had wine, so it's not my
Okay.
my world. So
It all tastes the same, so I'm pretty grateful for not being able to tell what's the expensive one and having a preference.
I think they just came out with a study saying that there really isn't a difference.
I think I read that. Was
Yeah.
it wine label study?
I think so. Yeah.
Wasn't that funny?
Yeah.
I do know that most people prefer the cheaper wines because they are more sugary.
Oh.
Could be.
Yeah.
Oh God, isn't that the truth with anything though? The cheapest things are the most sugary.
Oh my God. It just kills me. And especially with all the new great, delicious vegan food that's out there,
Ugh,
it just is so bad for us.
right. And when you guys went vegan, this happened to me. Did you suddenly really lose your taste for sugar? I mean, I still love it, but
I'll say this. Yes, but I got it back when Oreos became vegan.
were they not always vegan then?
No.
I didn't know this.
Yeah. How long have you been vegan?
Just over 2 years now.
Okay.
Vegetarian before that, but I wouldn't have been in the Oreo debate.
Okay, I think it was 6 years ago, 7 years ago?
Okay.
Yeah, it could have been. I remember they had lard in them or something. What
No,
was
it was whey.
it? It was whey. Okay.
It was whey, yeah. It was in the wafer.
Okay.
Yeah.
You'd think other companies would have followed suit. Like if Oreos can do it and no one was able to tell a difference. I mean, how many other products have such unnecessary, sneaky little products in there?
It's usually like the knockoffs that have it. And so it
Yeah.
really is frustrating because you're like, I'll just get these crackers that I can't have. Never mind.
So
That's one of the several ways it turns you into a snob. By off-brand Oreos.
well, I remember when I first went vegan and started looking at it, you could only buy the most expensive and then the cheapest food. Like
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's crazy, yeah.
You're either in like the bulk rice and beans section or you're in the specialty food section where you're paying like $8 for fake sausage or something.
Yeah.
Or you go for the snack and you're like, yes, I'm going to spend $4 on one peanut butter cup.
Those Justine's ones, like, yeah, sometimes it's worth it.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying it's not worth it. That's
Oh, yeah.
Has to be on a good day though. I walk by it and I'm like, I just can't justify it today.
So being vegan for 2 years, you came into it like right at the right time. There's actually good cheese. So you missed out on all the shitty cheese. There's good like mayonnaise. There's
Cheese
good
mayonnaise.
fish now.
There's fish, I know. That has to be really new then, right? The like breaded
Yeah,
it's like morning, what's the brand? I forget.
Gardein.
Oh my gosh. Like eerily good.
I've had way too many of them. Let's just put it that way.
They always make me a little sick, and it's probably just because there's like 6 of them in a pack, and I eat them throughout the day, and it's I don't recommend.
And Follow Your Heart has a great tartar sauce, but I had to learn how to make my own because I was going through it so quick.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Follow Your Heart. Have you tried the new cheese? Like they had the pretty crap cheese
it's
for a
so
while.
good.
Wow.
Which new cheese?
It's the coconut oil based one.
Yeah,
Is it different packaging?
Mm-hmm.
it is.
Then I probably haven't.
Yeah.
Because I think they still sell them side by side with the old version, but there's a new, way, way better one.
And we've talked about it a little bit on the show. It's,
I like Follow Your Heart. I never had a problem with it.
Maybe I am talking about the old one then.
Well, no, they're definitely different. The one that you usually have is good. I like it, but the one that's coconut oil
Is that the
10 times better.
Is the new ones the ones that they swear they're like the string cheese ones?
Yeah, it kind of tastes like string cheese.
Okay.
Oh gosh, that's a good way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I've seen it. I haven't tried those yet.
It's so good.
Yeah.
So
But I did come into it in the time when like Daiya was really the only option, and I was living in Boulder at the time, so I thought there'd be way more like vegan replacement options. And I've talked to the more veteran vegans, and they say, "Oh man, at least you had Daiya," but that was a sad transition. Daiya and I were not on good terms.
I'm not I don't like the consistency of it.
Right.
it's a little snotty.
Yeah.
And you can't eat it raw. Like
No.
you can do that with the Follow Your Heart one, just in the little pieces. But
Man, we're like just throwing companies under the bus today.
I mean, Daiya's awesome. Like, I'm not
I start my day every day with Daiya cheese.
I mean, I eat it all the time. I just, I can criticize.
We shouldn't call them bad. We should just call them less good. Like they're great if they're vegan and they're there, right?
Exactly.
But I will say, mayonnaise was always horrible.
Yeah, I don't have
You lived
any
without
problem.
mayonnaise, so you're
No.
so grateful for that.
No problem throwing them under the bus.
Nope.
So
Screw you, mayonnaise.
So what's your origin story? How did you come to be a vegan?
It's funny. I think like all vegans talk about this with each other. It cracks me up. I wish I had a better story by now, but I was vegetarian for probably solidly 8 years before I went vegan, and I was sadly one of those really stubborn vegetarians. Like I loved cheese, and I knew it was bad, and I knew that I should look more into it, but I didn't. So like really my whole childhood, I wasn't eating meat, and then my mom actually went vegan before I did, even though I'd gone vegetarian before her. And, we grew up, or I grew up on a farm out here in Colorado Springs. And so, my mom and I would often like go rescue, like baby pigs and baby cows and chickens and just old gimpy animals from this auction house that was like half an hour away from where we lived. And so I really grew up with them kind of like people do their cats and dogs, who now think that, oh my God, I can't even envision eating cats and dogs. So I had like a pig who would wait for me at the mailbox at the same time every day for me to come home, and I knew my chickens' personalities, and so I think the seed was always planted. But I think it was the Gary Yourofsky speech that he gave about was it the Ohio dairy investigation? Where you just saw the farmhands beating the shit out of these little baby cows, and I've never touched it after that. I blocked to it the same way as I have been meat for 8 years.
What brought your mom to veganism before you?
That's a really good question. I think, I was always kind of the hippie child in the family, and it's funny now thinking back to being a kid, she really was worried about my health and not getting all the amino acids. And I think somewhere along the way, we just really started talking about it, and she got involved with just a vegan outreach group down here in Colorado Springs. And I don't know, it seemed like all of a sudden she just really was taking it on herself to go to protests every weekend, and she jumped into it really fast. So I couldn't even tell you her aha moment, but one minute she wasn't even vegetarian, and the next she was like cold turkey.
Wow, that's awesome.
I know, it's cool.
So obviously, I would assume your family's pretty good with your transition then.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, I think it started just to happen that my mom's the cook, and so naturally my dad and my brother and sisters had to just be eating vegan when they were in the house, and soon, it wasn't long later before they all started identifying as vegan, so we're one of those families that...
So your whole family is vegan now?
Whole family. Isn't that cool? Even the 11-year-old girls, like, yeah. You
started off saying, I wish I had a better story, and now you have like a story that everyone listening to is like jealous of.
That's so cool. I know, but gosh, it seems really easy to me now that like my mom makes all this wonderful vegan food and showing me the right videos, and I was really so lazy getting it.
I've been vegan for 21 years, and I can't get my mom to even try something vegan.
No. Okay, wait. Are you the one that's been vegetarian like since a child? Or sorry, vegan?
I went vegan at 13.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
and same.
And like really no family support. It wasn't
none whatsoever.
People didn't even know what it was back then.
I didn't know what it was back then.
How'd you do that?
So I actually went vegetarian when I was 11, and I didn't know what the term was at all. I actually was like, I don't want to eat animals anymore.
Wow.
And, my parents, taught me what the term was, and they're like, why the hell do you want to do this kind of a thing?
Right.
And then when I was about 12, they made me promise not to go vegan, which made me go, what the hell's vegan? Right. Started really looking into it, read Animal Liberation and Diet for New America, and went, why the hell am I not vegan? And went vegan.
Thanks, Mom and Dad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Do they know that's the reason you switched over?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think I'm kind of glad that my parents didn't help me cook anything, because like I feel I'm an okay cook.
Oh yeah,
and it definitely like helped me become a better cook.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That was my parents' big thing was, or my mom's, because she was really the one who did all the cooking. She's like, I'm not going to cook separate for you. Oh. So from very young, I had to learn how to cook. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I've heard that from a lot of people, like parents who just really are against it, or they'll throw their kids a raw block of tofu and they're like, okay, you're eating this and we're eating fried chicken. Like, what kid can stand up to that?
And I got to be a little bit fair. After like a year, she really kind of caved in. And like if I asked for things, I looked at recipes, like she spent a whole Saturday driving around Salt Lake Valley trying to find out what the hell nutritional yeast was, because it was in a recipe and we didn't know. Like... I think we went to like 6 stores that day, and everyone just had blank stares on their face.
Oh my gosh.
But now I can buy it at almost any grocery store, so.
Right,
yay
right.
for Nooch. Yeah. So, she's come a long ways.
Definitely. And is she like okay with talking about it now? Like, I guess you said you still won't try your vegan food, but.
Yeah, actually, I say that, but a couple things she switched over. Like, she pretty much only uses Vegenaise.
Okay.
Now she prefers Vegenaise. And she'll always keep things in her house, mainly for my daughter, because she's like, well, if I want you guys to come over, I got to have basics for you. So
right.
Yeah.
And did you raise your daughter vegan, or was it?
Yeah. There's no question about that. Yeah.
Did you get like a lot of backlash from other parents, or just people saying, "Oh, that's awful. That's not right. You need to let her make her own choices"? Did you get into that?
Not really, because I think anyone that would have said that, we kind of just cut out of our lives immediately. Because
That's true.
I'm not gonna stand for that. Like that's horseshit.
It's one of like the weirdest complaints that someone could say. Either it's like, how are you forcing?
Either way, you're forcing.
Yeah, you're
right?
forcing, whether it be religion or whether it be meat or a vegan diet. It's you're going to direct the kid the way that you're living. Isn't that what being a parent really is? Yeah,
like,
I mean, it's a very weak argument.
It's totally I view parenting as my chance to indoctrinate the way I want to indoctrinate.
Yes. And there are some very good ways to indoctrinate nowadays, isn't there?
There really, really is. The other day, my daughter actually gave me a hug and she goes, "Thank you for making me be vegan." And I'm like, I don't make you be vegan. You're almost 9. This is your choice. She's like, "Oh yeah, this is my choice."
That's so great. So you're not one of those, I don't know if we have these nowadays, but the parents like, I'll be damned if you're going to do this under my roof. And until...
No, I'm totally that way. I'm totally like, yeah, if she makes her mind up, that's fine. But I don't want non-vegan stuff on my plate. So
that makes sense. Yeah.
I worked really hard to have an all vegan kitchen. So there you go.
That's true. Well, that's good then. And since it's been such a part of you, then I guess you were exempt from the suspicions of how you were raising your kid. Like I know my mom, she went pretty suddenly. And so when she started cooking vegan only for my little sisters, of course, everyone's like, they're going to grow up weak and they're not going to have protein. Mm-hmm. And how dare you try to make that choice for them? And I found that crazy because people do that with political parties and religion and just, yeah.
I don't know about Jordan, but I found out when I was like 18, 19, I was talking to my mom and she told me that like all of my aunts and uncles always complained to her about it. Like, how dare you let your son be vegan, blah, blah.
Wow.
But she really sheltered me from all that. Like I never really felt that way. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of grateful for that, at least,
Well, see, that's sweet then.
Yeah.
She had her little ways of helping you out and protecting you.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I know that now my mom's a vegetarian though.
Yeah,
so
your mom is, yeah.
After all these years. A couple years ago she finally went vegetarian, so
definitely. And it's even a little bit of a victory when someone just phases out something in their diet, right? Like, as much as I'd love to be really hard on them, it's I think just them seeing how easy it actually is when you're doing it kind of opens the door a little bit for Yeah.
So since you have such like a newer perspective on the change, like I don't remember the change at all, like because it was so long ago.
Right.
What was like the biggest challenge for you?
Biggest challenge. You know what? I actually I did my senior thesis project on it. I was really surprised by how many people were just instantly offended by my choice. Mm-hmm. So I think they'd always known me as like a vegetarian, but I wasn't really going to pick fights with anyone. And I hadn't really had any, I don't want to call it bullying, but any issues with that until I really made the vegan switch. And suddenly, a lot of people I met would just instantly launch into an argument or questionings or tell me it's not natural or say I'm going to eat twice as much meat because you're not. And so I actually did my research on like the Western culture's rejection, like that instant rejection of finding out someone's vegan or the vegan diet. So I'd say for the first 6 months, like I just had a really isolated period where like I was really mad at my friends who wouldn't give it a thought. I probably got pretty militaristic for a while in really wanting people to change as fast as I did.
What do you think makes people have that instant reaction?
Can you say that again?
What do you think makes people have that like instant reaction to want to be combative?
I think I figured out that it was preemptively acting on the idea that they were going to be lectured and they were going to be judged. And so it seemed like I'm going to beat you to it. Don't you dare lecture me. And, in some ways I couldn't blame them. I could see, in some ways that maybe I'd come off pretty harsh. But, after interviewing people, I went through my question and I kind of left it open at the end. And every person I interviewed really wanted to go in further about it and ask questions. And there was a lot of genuine curiosity about the diet and the philosophy and the lifestyle. But it's that that perception that they're going to be attacked
Mhm.
and they're going to be judged.
So why do you think that it's different when a person hears that someone's a vegan compared to a vegetarian?
I don't know. I think let's see. One of you was vegetarian for a while, right? Or no, both of you were.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. Did you guys get okay, you're vegetarian, but you still eat fish, or you still eat cheese, or you still eat chicken?
I still get that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've never understood that, but as soon as you said yeah, I still eat cheese. Oh, okay. Well, that's good. And I don't know why that was good, or that settled their conscience, but
You're not that crazy.
Exactly.
Maybe.
I always feel like when you say people feel like they're instantly judged, I think it's more I always get the aspect that, we're not just judging, but we're flat out saying that they're wrong.
Right.
But they're right. They are wrong.
Yes.
And I am judging. I just don't want to be an over asshole about it.
Right. And so I don't want to, comfort people and saying, no, I'm not judging you. And no, I'm not saying that what you're doing is wrong. When really, yeah, I am. It bothers me to the deepest core of my being that you exist this way and you are doing what you're doing. But that doesn't make for a very civil argument, does it?
No, it doesn't.
And I think that I can even forget it in my mind. And, and, sometimes as an activist, you kind of, forget why you're doing what you're doing. But once you start thinking about it again, and then you see somebody eating meat, you're like, yeah, that's fucked up.
Right. And I think, I know a number of people complained about the new vegans and how they kind of jumped onto it like it was a fad, and they started off all fire and brimstone about it. And I think, it has to be one of the reasons is, you've just seen something, whether it's a video or you've done your research or you've read Animal Liberation, and you're angry enough to the point that you've finally now done something about it. And so it's hard to have those images in your head as you're hearing someone laughing at it, which happens so often.
I think we talked about this a little bit ago. I think we need that constant fire, because once you've been in it so long and you become a jaded ass like me, you're just fuck everything.
Honestly.
So I need those new vegans to be out there and be like, well, I'm going to go to every protest, because I'm kind of eh.
Definitely, right? And even after I became vegan, it didn't take long for me to get into that jaded asshole state. I need to say, I was fuck it, I'm not talking about this with anybody. I'm not even gonna. Yeah, I even stopped going to protests. I didn't get involved in the conversation a lot. And then I think it was, probably a year later or so that I was, fuck this. Yeah, you're all going to hear about it.
Okay, so what made you kind of step away from protests in general? I
love the idea of protests, and I think it's awesome. And there are people who kick ass at it, and that's really where they shine. I've never felt like I'm doing much good there. I'm naturally kind of a shy person. I don't think I enjoy going out, and I don't need my face to be seen and need my voice to be heard, which is, the entire point of a protest. Actually, I've been to a lot of police brutality protests, and we have kind of a weird group here in Denver where it's like the Black Lives Matter protests and the police brutality stuff. It's a fantastic movement, and I keep trying to get involved with it and going to film protests, and it's kind of been hijacked by a select group of people who are doing a more self-promoting thing. And it's been hard I don't necessarily want to be part of that at that point,
Are they white people?
They are, all of them.
And I would say here it's been by a lot of the commies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of been taken over by the white communists.
The white communists here, yeah.
Interesting.
Which is
I have seen that.
Which is interesting. It's interesting that you say that, because I've probably been to more police brutality protests in the last year and a half, 2 years than an animal rights protest in the last 5 years.
Yeah. Same, right?
Yeah.
And it's I think it appeals to more people. I think animal rights is still a very, a much smaller group than people who at least have an opinion about police brutality. How have protests looked to you? Have they been working better in the ones that you've went to, or do you just kind of see a general anger that people don't. It just seems unorganized out here.
I feel it's pretty unorganized from the like structurally. I think people are trying to commandeer it, and that prevents progression.
Right.
And so they are stopping people from doing things that they want to do,
like spontaneous actions and things like that,
like taking the street or something. Well, I don't think that's a good idea because someone could get arrested, and so they're actively preventing people from doing that kind of thing. Which I think is hindering as opposed to helping.
Yeah.
Very much so. And I know it seems to be the culture of protest out here, where I get the sense talking to people at these protests. I've been to a lot of them. I know all these people. They don't really consider it a successful protest until the SWAT team comes. And so I kid you not, because they want the pictures of themselves like flipping off the helicopter and, charging the police with riot gear. And it's just really not sending the right message, and not, I don't know. It's been hard to really identify with that group, but
I would say in my early 20s, I would have been all for it. I'm all for it now, only if it's going to have an achievable outcome. And I don't see right now that having a real positive outcome.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is really heartbreaking because they have all the raw materials and they have every justification to take it as far as it needs to go. But I don't know. I'm still caught up in the nostalgia of the Earth Liberation Movement, and that people are getting arrested for noble reasons out there. But if you're just spray painting the Capitol so the police will come and so you can have a cool mugshot, that's all true stories.
Really? Okay, I shouldn't say really. That doesn't surprise me at all.
And it just takes a few. I don't even want to generalize. I've probably been generalizing, but it's crazy.
Do you think that there'll be a positive outcome with how much focus there's been on it, like the Black Lives Matter stuff?
Gosh, that's a really good question. I think anything that gets this far into the public dialogue is going to be kind of a mixed blessing, and I think it's just the way things go here is that things get polarized when they get this big, which is very unfortunate. But I wish we could get this far with animal rights. I guess that's what I keep telling myself. At least it's being talked about, and at least it's something that's being acknowledged. So I don't know. Where do you see it going?
Oh man. I really think for some reason it's more of a generational change than something that's going to change overnight. Right. But I think that what we're doing now is setting up for the next generation to be ready for that change, because we're showing that we're fucking sick of it. So hopefully the next generation doesn't isn't dealing with it. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, that really does.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't necessarily seeing it being better tomorrow or next year, but over the next 10, 15 years, we'll be able to look back and be like, oh, it really has changed.
Yeah. Maybe it's where it started.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at least there's now a generation growing up hearing phrases recognizing what Black Lives Matter is referring to, and they can name some monumental court cases of, it's just, I haven't heard it talked about this much. So that has to be a good sign, right?
You would hope so. You would really, really, really hope so. And I think what I think makes me a little more optimistic is that it's not just been one case. It's not just been what happened here, but it's case after case, and then now they're coming back to older cases, and people are like, this has been going on for so long.
Right.
What sucks is that the only time shit like this changes is when white America actually becomes aware of it
and can rally behind
it. Exactly.
Which is terrible.
I mean, because I remember in high school talking about MOVE, which just had the anniversary of the bombing recently.
The 30th year.
Yeah. And people are like, that never happened. That couldn't be true. I'm like, no, they dropped a fucking bomb on them.
Holy shit.
Are you familiar with MOVE at all?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But people were denying it, full on.
Yeah, people denied it, and there's video of it.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised that even in today's day and age, somebody can tell you something that you didn't know happened, but having grown up in the US, you don't just go, all right, fuck yeah, I can see how that would have happened. I didn't know about it, but I believe it. Oh my gosh.
But
Yeah.
I really think, even then, 15 years ago, being here in Utah, which is, the epitome of white America almost, that they didn't want to recognize that, racism in itself can be institutionalized, not just personal.
That's absolutely frightening, honestly.
But I think it's good that we're talking about institutionalized racism and not just individualized racism.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And it's really rare for this to be seen as like a pattern, It's easy for people to get outraged about one specific event, but to see that people are now connecting the dots and speaking about it as a more systematic thing, then that's inspiring.
And I view it like this type of discussion as a positive for all rights. So, I view it as a positive for women's rights and for animal rights, because I think it moves the mindset just one step closer to recognizing others and the empathy and looking outside of oneself.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's really just a matter of expanding your own circle of people who or beings really who deserve rights. And, once you go so far as to say, yeah, of course, Black people have rights to not be shot by the police, then or women have the right to vote. And yeah, just expanding that circle of who is encompassed in the rights discussion. It's a Peter Singer, I think. I'm losing track of my people.
Yeah, and Peter Singer's been doing some pretty interesting things with altruism lately.
Really?
Yeah, I think he wrote a new book about altruism, called Effective Altruism, and he started a new organization that all they do is rate nonprofit organizations to show how effective they really are at their causes, where the money is really going to, how much they actually spend. And I think as of last I heard, his organization's only recommending financial donations to 4 or 5,
3 or 4, yeah.
Of all nonprofit organizations.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gosh. Okay, you know what though? It's about time that someone brought up the fact that nonprofit does not mean what people think it means, right?
Oh no, definitely not.
And it should be, regarded as how do I say this? Did you guys see? There's a documentary called Pink Ribbons Incorporated. Did you see that one?
I've seen that.
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's a good one, and it goes into the Susan G. Komen Foundation and how that you have to report on your taxes what you spent these millions and millions of dollars that you fundraise on, and it's literally just a cycle of fundraising. And fundraising can be anything from selling merchandise of pink toasters and vacuum cleaners and teddy bears, and it shows how much money that actually goes into research, and it's heartbreaking seeing that they've really monopolized this cancer cause fundraising, and they're doing nothing with it. That's
one of my biggest rallying cries against PETA. I mean, everything they do is to get media attention, but they get the media attention for fundraising. So they're overtly sexist, they're racist, they're everything in the book just for fundraising purposes.
Right. And then it goes back to that self-promoting thing. I get you have to do it to some extent, but and I think a lot of people you talk to really just shake their heads oh, PETA. Choose your battles, right? They get the most media attention, but it's always for the silliest causes, and that.
And what sucks is I remember back in the day, I wouldn't have been an activist without PETA. My first protest I ever organized, I think I was 16. And I just called PETA up and I'm like, hey, I need stuff. And they're like...
And they sent you a bunch of pamphlets.
Yeah,
and
they
stuff.
sent you pamphlets, posters, stickers, helped you write a press release, all for free. They want nothing, from it.
Uh-huh.
And, I don't know if they still do that or not. But, I couldn't have done it without them. And they were an ALF press office for years.
Wow.
Yeah, they would never do that now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? I think they do still do that now that you mention it. I know an organizer down here who always has big anti-circus PETA posters and stuff, and so many of the people who regularly attend her protests oh, can we use different posters? People hate PETA.
A lot of people cut them off.
I've actually heard of PETA saying recently that they'll provide posters and remove their name if they want,
Really?
because they know people don't want to be associated.
Okay, that's interesting then.
Yeah.
Wow. Ooh, that would be tough to admit though, I guess. I'm sure there's like all these very well-intended people in there. Okay.
I've never met somebody who works for PETA that I don't get along with, and we're all on the same team. We really want the same, end goal. So, yeah.
It's hard. And really, I think any organization that gets to that level, there's got to be some level of self-promoting and some fishy stuff you have to do to get to there. But yeah, I don't know. Only 4 or 5 organizations though that you can really donate to in good conscience. That's crazy. I need to look that up.
Yeah, and what's sad, I don't even remember which ones they were.
Right.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
But he did a really good TED talk on it, effective altruism. It was really interesting. I don't necessarily agree with everything he said, because he was kind of arguing for people to get high-paying banking jobs so they can donate their salaries.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like, where's that banking money coming from, right?
Exactly, yeah. And he argued, well, it could be doing more good, blah, blah, blah. But,
I hate to say, isn't that like a Wolf of Wall Street philosophy? Don't they say that in the beginning?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Yeah.
So I just watched that the other day.
There's been quite a few things that Peter Singer has said that I would distance myself from.
But he's also, I don't think he fully means everything he says.
I agree with that. Yeah.
He uses it from like a philosophical standpoint.
Yeah.
Always playing devil's advocate or argument for argument's sake.
Yeah, like something about babies, killing them up to 3 or
ages
something.
2. Well,
yeah.
Yeah. Well, in those cases, I believe he's arguing, the consistency in ethics. So if you put your moral line here for a reason, you got to put it the same place for others.
Right.
So, yeah.
Oh, see, I have to revisit all these. Like, he had some pretty funny ones that, make some people cringe in every philosophy class. But
I'm trying to remember. I think that book was called Black and White. I think. Man, I'm trying to remember, like, so many years ago.
Years back, right?
Yeah. God, I'm old. Fuck.
No. It's okay. He's been around for a while, so we're referencing old stuff.
So you were saying that you grew up near an animal auction place.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the same one that was in the short that you did?
Yeah, it was the black and white one. That's where I got like my pigs from, and I rescued my goats, and so I'd been going there for quite a few years. And recently, they had stopped letting people actually go back into the areas where they have the animals. And when I went there with my camera that day, they at first were like, "No way in hell we're letting you back there." And I said, "Oh, I'm just doing this for a little project." And they said, "Okay, but you're not with like PETA or anything, are you?" And I'm like, "No, of course not. I hate PETA." And I'm just like, and I said, "Really? Have they made it out to this like dinky little auction?" I didn't call it dinky. Like, really? You've seen them out here? And they said, "Oh yeah, they've come a couple of times." And I kind of cut them off like, "Well, how do you know who they are? Like, how can you spot them?" And I said, "Oh, it's really easy. They're all wearing the Meat is Murder shirts, and they're crying and screaming the whole time we're auctioning off animals." Like, really? Like, I thought you were supposed to be more keeping it cool about it. I don't know if they were lying to me, but I found that image funny. So by those standards, it was pretty easy to pretend I wasn't a PETA animal activist person.
Sorry, that image just makes me laugh.
Thank you, right?
Like, so the way to get into things now, from my understanding, is don't wear a Meat is Murder shirt and don't cry and scream.
Don't cry and scream.
Right. It seems like by those standards, it should be pretty easy to do some undercover work, but...
Wow, their standards are pretty low.
I think so. Like, so exaggerated that they must have been, like, lying or just pulling from all these stereotypes that they knew about PETA people, but I find it funny to think it might have actually happened.
So you rescued animals from these auction houses. Like, when you rescue, do you actually have to like purchase, or are they animals that they would be like downing and basically throwing away?
So this is where like I really shouldn't even use the word rescue, because eventually the money goes into the pockets of these people. But it always is like these downed animals. So my little cow, his name was Butters. he was like just dropped and his little umbilical cord was hanging off, and they had to really lift him into the auction ring. And they had to put like a disclaimer in front of him, like, just so you know, the vet checked him out and doesn't look like this guy has much of a chance, but if you want to take the chance. And, you know, they sold him to us for next to nothing. But sadly, we had to take them out of there the same way someone would, just to buy them for meat. So
I don't see that. I don't know how you classify that not as a rescue personally. I mean, you
That's
saved
good.
the animal's life, right?
Yeah.
Right. And it's risky to them. But
yeah.
like, I guess I just have a problem with the term because it's not a very sustainable approach to rescuing. Like,
yeah.
there's a dog rescue out here that's like really popular, and it rescues mill dogs from like the puppy mills. But what they do is they just go in and they buy a ton of dogs from these auctions, and they'll spend like thousands of dollars rescuing these dogs, and which is great for those few dogs, but you know, you're still giving money to the people who are going to go and breed more of them. So
It's still feeding the problem.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I wish I had a better way of doing it, but my occasional purchase doesn't weigh too heavily on my conscience.
So you also were involved in some other films. What was your involvement in them, and how did that come to be?
So I've only done probably like 3 animal rights films, and just like short little ones. I worked with Joe MacArthur to release footage she had taken a few years back at a Tanzanian slaughterhouse. And oh my gosh, I was so excited when she contacted me after my animal auction video. Like, I got all starstruck and was like, running around my house telling people. She contacted me just like a celebrity. But so I worked with her to edit her story of witnessing that and having to document it, you know, for the sake of the other animals and not necessarily the ones that were dying right in front of her. And then my film partner at the time and I did an investigation into a giant cockfighting arena in Puerto Rico. And that one was not as easy as just saying we're not PETA and wearing a different shirt. But we did eventually get in, and we were going to do a story about, we found this guy who worked out of the basement to save the roosters that had lost the fight, or that people weren't going to pay the few dollars to save them. And so he had told us his story, like he saved them on his own dime and on his own time and took them home at the end of the day and had his own like retired fighting chicken farm. But the day we actually went to film, he wasn't there. So it became a more general story of the stuff that goes on in this cockfighting arena.
And it's still legal in U.S. territories, right?
It is.
Really? I did not know that.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And it's only legal, like, it's government sponsored. So our tax dollars go to fund these like big arenas, which are more popular to go to on Saturday afternoons than baseball games in these territories.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, gosh, you should have seen like the grandioseness of this arena and really how much money you could see was just being dumped into this and handed around. And I never would have known there was that much money to be made, and, you know, 2 chickens fighting each other. It always seemed like kind of a redneck backyard sport, but
I don't know why, but that really like shocks me. Like, it shouldn't shock me because, you know, all the other horrible shit that happens, but that really, really shocks me that it's still legal.
Yeah. And it's hard. Like, I felt bad, like, picking on that as my big fight. Like, you know, it's an awful way for them to die. And, you know, they're raised in cages just the same. But, you know, in terms of scale of suffering, it would have been better to focus on, you know, a big factory farm. So I don't mean to alienate these people who have this cultural tradition of cockfighting. You know, as brutal as it still looks to me, I don't like thinking that people are watching it and saying, oh, those horrible people mistreating chickens. I would never do that. And then, you know, go and eat chicken.
Chicken, yeah.
Oh, and it was the weirdest place. Like, people are eating fried chicken as they're watching the chickens killing each other. And just
It's got to
weird Twilight Zone thing.
So what's like the emotional toll of like working on these films and like seeing that kind of stuff? It
depends on what part of the filmmaking process, I guess. like while you're filming, you have to be so aware of everything going on around you that, you can't help but just be really drawn in and really trying to tune into the emotion of these animals and the people around you. And so I usually do like 10-hour filming days. And at the end, I just, I'd crash and don't want to talk to anyone for a while. And then editing is always just a hair tearing out process. And it's very technical of looking at what goes where and what music will fit. And then it hits you again after it's all said and done and you're watching it and you realize what you saw and all you can really make out of it. And you hope that what you experienced and what you were trying to get gets across to someone else. It's hard because all these animals that you film, it's too late for them. And so you just hope that somewhere down the line it's going to be different. But, you have to look at these guys and go, there's nothing I can do for you.
But I mean, just like that toll, it must be like heart-wrenching at that moment. You have to make those decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And yeah, all the environments that I've been filming in, you really you can't let on that you're feeling those things because you're really going to out yourself. You have to be pretty sneaky about it. And you have to joke with the people who are, torturing these animals right in front of you. And so it makes you a pretty good liar and it makes you really good at fake conversations. And it's,
So how did you prepare yourself emotionally, the very first time, not really realizing how it would impact your emotions, just knowing it would?
I guess the very first time it was when I went into the auction house, and I'd been there other times, but I had always gone in with the understanding that, okay, I'm going to be able to save one of you. I can pick one of you. And, it put my conscience at ease a little bit. But it was weird this time to go in and, you see them differently. And to prepare for that, I want to say I didn't even prepare. I just kind of went in and I was hoping to be as distant about it as possible. I've read a lot of interviews with, war photographers and other documentary filmmakers, and everyone has a different approach. I know Daniel Youngie's a big one. He might be out of Utah, actually. I don't know. But he says every time that he films, it's all a very technical thought process of what's at focus, what's in frame. And so I think part of me tried to think like that, but, it's animals and they're looking right at you. And I swear, maybe it's just me saying this, but I swear they can look at you and know that you're looking at them differently. And maybe you're different. Cause, I was filming in the auction ring, for example, when they're finally, it's ground zero and they're being sold off and people are yelling and they're hitting them with sticks and they're terrified. And I was worried someone was going to ask me to leave because all these animals kept circling the ring terrified. And every other one, if not more often than that, would just come up to me and they would stare at me. And I don't know if it's because I had a camera or they could see themselves or what was going on, but they looked at me right in the eyes, are you going to do something? Or I swear they knew to this day, but.
And I think I kind of saw that when I was watching the animal auction. It
really,
every time that goat circled around and looked like it was looking right in the camera.
Yeah. And that happens so many times that I, eventually I wish I had been able to put it in there, but my audio was bad. The announcer started making jokes oh, there they go again. Doug, get him away from her. Or they you must smell good or something. The whole arena started kind of laughing about it. And so it was really changing the vibe a bit. But yeah, everyone had caught on that these animals were just coming around and stopping in front of me. So I had to leave.
What's interesting to me is those type of scenes, it doesn't, I don't think it matters in the long run whether or not the animal knew or not, because it creates that emotional impact for the viewer.
Right.
Yeah.
And really that's what it has to be about with filmmaking is, it doesn't really matter what's there. Does it make it on screen? Is that felt after it's all said and done and you're showing it to someone who wasn't there? So it's really great to hear from you guys that you felt that too. So
what made you want to get into filmmaking in general?
It happened my last year of college, kind kind of like a serendipitous series of events. I got really into documentaries for a while. But I do remember, like, I would watch a few, and sometimes I would just get really mad after watching them. Like, they'd be these great topics, and they would have great people that they interviewed, but it would be done so horribly, and they'd have, like, the worst music over it, and, like, really bad, like, camera angles and lighting, and it would really irk me, and I would just be driving and thinking about it, and I didn't know why I was so mad, and I know I kept thinking, like, I would have done this, or I would have done this, and so I think finally something clicked, like, well, why don't you, just try to do it once. So it was I needed one last class in my last semester of college. And so I took a documentary and social change class, and really there I got to, see all these different films, and I really fell in love with the idea that it could be used as a tool for activism. And so for every way I didn't feel connected to protests, and I didn't feel like I was really doing anything there, I felt like this was my way to add something to the movement that I'd kind of otherwise removed myself from. And then I kind of started off as this intern to this local filmmaker who spoke in my class. And, I just started off like holding his boom pole and working the second camera. But eventually I started going on jobs with him, and I was so technically challenged to begin with. Oh my God, I barely knew how to open a Word document. And so now it's like a year later, it's such a technical thing, and I'm still drowning in it. But I've completely fallen in love with it. And then especially seeing, like, I was pretty amazed at the response I got from my first video, which was the animal auction. I really didn't expect anyone to see it. I had just come back from a really long work trip in Brazil, which was like a month long, and it was 10 hours a day of filming, and I was dropping lenses, and I was just fucking up every day. And so I kind of came home to do just, you set out to do one animal rights video, so just do one so you can do it. And I did that, and I got such an awesome response from it, and met some amazing people that, now I know I'm in it for the long haul.
What were some of your favorite documentaries that really got you into it?
Well, it was right about the time that Blackfish was out, and It was literally shutting down SeaWorld. And I was just amazed that one film had changed the public dialogue so much that it was actually having an impact. The Square was another one that, was just something that we'd seen on the news for so many months or even years. And then this documentary comes out and just completely changes your opinion of it, and it makes it so much more personal and so much more human that really news coverage doesn't even begin to compare to the amount of connectedness you feel to these protesters and what they have at stake.
I'm not familiar with The Square.
Yeah, I don't know if I am either.
Oh my gosh, it might still be on Netflix, actually. Really amazing. It's about the Arab Spring.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. It might have won Best Documentary last year. I'm not sure. But
I'll have to check that out.
I totally will, yeah.
Do you guys have favorites, though, that... not all documentaries are made equal.
For me, I have three that I for people that I always recommend if they are getting into documentaries.
Yeah.
One's Death in Gaza.
Oh, see, I haven't seen that one.
Then there's Dark Days.
Mm-hmm.
And then Fog of War.
Dark Days was that the Bosnian genocide one?
No, Dark Days is actually about homelessness where people live in subway tunnels.
Yes, it's that, it's not black and white, but it's just all underground.
It looks like it's black and white, but it's actually not. Yeah, but it's all underground, yeah.
God, that one was incredible. I do remember that.
And Death in Gaza was...
that one was good.
It was really good. There was these two journalists where they set out to do a documentary to film the lives of children in Israel and the Gaza Strip.
Wow.
They started on the Gaza Strip and were murdered by Israel.
Wow.
Yeah.
So on that note, have you seen Five Broken Cameras on that same topic?
No, I haven't, but it's always been on my list to watch.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good one too. Okay, Death in Gaza. I'm actually going to Israel, Palestine in a couple weeks, so that'd be a great one to watch before.
It would scare the shit out of me if I watched it right before.
Oh God, yeah.
Definitely be careful.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess.
Still, it'll give you a healthy sense of, I don't know. It reminds me of, I went to backpacking through Europe after my freshman year of college, and everyone said, you have to watch Taken. And
Yeah, that one wouldn't scare me.
Yeah.
no.
Because Liam Neeson got my back.
Or maybe it was Hostel, I think. That was the one.
Hostel, yeah.
Yeah, that was bad.
I never saw Hostel. I'm not really into the horror flicks.
Right. It was years ago, so I couldn't tell you if it was good or not, but it scared the shit out of me.
It was okay. I liked it.
Okay, cool. I'm definitely checking out your documentary, though. I always need new ones.
I'm trying to think of the ones that I would choose. I'm really into documentaries, so
Mhm.
it's tough. But I think I like the ones that are more obscure. I
Yeah.
think there was one called Burma DJ,
Really?
and it's about people filming in Burma and then being murdered by the state, by the country, because you're not allowed to film police or the government.
I do like films about filmmakers being murdered so much.
Jeez, yeah, I know.
Well, what was that one called again? I'm
I
writing
think
it
it's
down.
Burma DJ.
Burma DJ.
And it talks about the monks that are putting themselves out there. It really made me angry with people here who are privileged pacifists and not really understanding that the privilege they have. And I'd say, I think it's Take the River on the Left, I think is what it's called.
Okay.
It's about this guy, he went in and visited some cannibals and fell in love with someone.
Sorry, go ahead. I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, basically that's pretty much most of the story. He fell in love with someone that was there, and they have a very open relationship kind of thing in that in that area, where you have a man and a woman who are both your partners. It doesn't really matter. It's kind of interesting.
Really cool.
You have equal counterparts. And then I don't know, maybe not, it's pretty popular. The Garden, Tap, that kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah, you gotta love those more informative ones, but
yeah,
I think I'm like you. I like those weird character pieces of people.
Definitely.
There's also one out. I'm telling everyone to watch it now. It's called Love Me. It's also on Netflix, and it's about the mail order bride business out of Ukraine. And
it's
normally watch these things, and they're kind of like those Nightline scare tactics, like sex slavery, and but this one's really just about this group of delusional men that goes over on this love tour and is looking for someone to marry, and about these women who just screw these guys over, and the different characters that would actually fall for those emails that are dozens of Russian women want to marry you and you're a beautiful bride. It's funny.
Yeah, I want to check that one out too. I haven't seen that one yet.
I think that one's in my queue.
Yeah, I think it's in my queue on Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I do love how documentaries are changing like that, though. It seems like more and more you're getting those, not in the typical slideshow structure, but you're getting these really funny characters that, yeah.
When I'm bored, I will randomly choose one on Netflix.
Really?
Just watch it. I watched some of them. I'm like, why the fuck am I even watching this?
Yeah.
I watched one about a master sushi maker.
Was that Euro Dreams of Sushi or something?
Something
right?
yes.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, what did I think this was gonna be?
You know what's funny though? I've talked to so many people who have all seen that one. Of all the subjects on Netflix you could learn about, it's this old sushi chef. And
yeah, but I like him good. I am that mindset where when for my passive entertainment, I like to be learning. So I listen to a lot of podcasts, audio books, and then documentaries. That's my passive, almost all my passive entertainment that I use.
That's great.
Yeah.
So do you have to counter that then with, I was talking to Mark Beckoff, who lives up here in Boulder, and he says, sometimes I need to shut my brain down and I just have to watch the shittiest movies I can think of. He said, so this year I've seen Predator probably 13 times, or Alien versus Predator.
That's where I go to samurai movies. Yeah, you totally need that really just awfulness sometimes.
Yeah.
Just to turn off the brain. And yeah.
And that's when I'll go back to my hardcore music or something like that. Yeah.
You're right. It's true for that. So none of you are bad enough to go to like the Family Guys or the slapstick comedy.
Definitely. I watch that all the time too.
Oh, thank goodness.
Oh, that's my everyday. That's not my shut off my brain.
I gotta say, South Park's getting pretty political, so it kind of feels educational sometimes.
Yeah, South Park is definitely one of the ones which is a little of both. It's a little slapstick, but also very much political, and only in the way that they could do it.
You know, I haven't really watched South Park in a while, unless somebody's like, you have to watch this episode.
Yeah.
Then I'll go watch it. I don't really keep up with it.
Right.
I don't have time anymore.
No.
God.
I know, like, who keeps up with shows as they come out? Like, don't have the time for that.
I think the only one I've actually caught up on is Silicon Valley.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I've only seen a clip from that, and it makes me want to watch the whole thing. It's where they're talking about, like, we're going to fail this presentation, even if we were to go out and give every guy in the audience a hand job.
It's like the longest dick joke ever, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's great. The entire show's that way.
Is it really?
It really is.
Oh my gosh.
Popcorn time is how I watch it. Maybe I shouldn't out myself that way.
It's the way to do it.
We've been just watching Black Mirror lately. Have you heard of that one?
Yeah, I saw the one episode where it's like the guy on the bikes.
Oh yeah. That one.
It's like the longer Twilight Zone, right?
Yeah, it really messes with you. I have to like watch one episode, and then that's when I go in to watch my Family Guy or something else. It's like you can't watch a ton of those because they're never pleasant.
No. You need time to process like what you just saw too. It's like
Exactly.
witnessing something horrible.
Nothing of what you said made me want to watch that.
It's so good. Depressingly good.
It's like one painfully long like metaphor about modern society and like
Technology.
that's how I describe it. Yeah.
So it's just going to make me more depressed than I already am about how fucked up everything is.
Yeah.
But it entertains you while you watch it, so it's, I don't know, double-edged sword.
It's like, oh yeah, I could totally see that happening. Fuck.
See, now we're pissing off the Black Mirror people. At first it was
But it's a great
mayonnaise,
show. But it's a great show. Unlike
It's
mayonnaise.
And like,
Oh man. I know the
Well-
other one I just finished is Portlandia, and that one was... Have you guys seen any of those episodes?
oh my God, is there new ones?
Yeah, there's
I
new
do-
ones all the time.
Oh, really?
Are there? Just like
The-
3 seasons or something, right?
Yeah, I've only seen the first season. That's why I'm saying like I know that there's new ones from what we've seen.
I
They
think
stayed pretty solid.
I think I've seen part of the second season.
Okay.
Yeah. But
Oh man.
I love the very first one. Is the very first episode where they go and find the chicken that they're supposed to...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has every vegan in the world been sent that clip now? I still get people forwarding me that.
I think it's almost as popular as like the level 5 vegan from The Simpsons.
Oh my god. Yes.
Needs to be seen.
It does need to be seen. But holy crap, we're way over an hour at this point.
Oh, I'm
so-
sorry.
Oh,
No, no
no,
worries.
not at all. How can people actually, follow your work and get in contact with you?
Oh, gotcha. Well, I just started my own production company. So I have a real like big kid website now. And it's Guerin, Guerin pictures.com. I was really quick picking a domain name, so I have to stick with it. But all my work's on there. I have a Vimeo page. You could find me on Facebook. I'm pretty small as of now, so you can reach out to me, send me an email, whatever you want.
We end every episode saying "fuck shit damn." Would you mind saying it for us this week?
Fuck shit down?
Fuck shit damn. Yep.
Okay, fuck shit down.
Awesome. Thank you
Hey,
very
thanks
much.
so
It's been a
much.
lot of fun.
You guys were great. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
This was my first interview. It was so neat.
I hope it was okay.
Yeah.
Not too scarred from it. I'm gonna go watch your films now.
Great.
Okay. Have a good one.
You too, guys.
Okay.
Right,
Bye.
see ya. Bye. This week you heard.
Shit and shine. Pearl drop.
Right now you're listening to.
A burning water instrumental. iTunes. Hey, most of you listen to us through iTunes. We get the facts. I know this is true. So, you're already there. Go rate and review us on iTunes. It's pretty simple. For everyone that's done it, big fucking high five. for everyone who's thinking about doing it, I got my hand here waiting for you.
And if you've done it, let us know, and I'll hook you up with something. I don't know what, but I'm going to.
We have some DVDs we need to give away.
We do.
Yeah.
So go on there, rate us, review us, subscribe to us, do it on your friends' devices, do it on your family's devices. Let us know if you do it, and we'll hook you up.
And if you're looking for just more of us in your daily lives, we got social media too.
So if you're not our friend, or if you haven't liked us, that's really rude, and you should do so.
Because we're your friend.
Go to Which Side Podcast, click on the social thing. We post things on there daily that we don't talk about on the show, so check it out.
So go do those social likey thingies on those.
Be our friend. Be our follower.
Oh.
That sounds creepy.
It does sound a little creepy. Very authoritarian of you. Follow me. Follow me.
Which side fuck shit damn?
Whatever. Okay.
Which Side Podcast is hosted and produced by Jordan Halliday and Jeremy Parkin of the Which Side Media Collective, with web design by Jordan Halliday and sound design by Jeremy Parkin. Booking by Mari Halliday. Theme music by Commandantes. Go to whichsidecollective.org to check out the other shows in the collective. As always, fuck shit damn.